Moving forward.
Right now, a future president could be running as a local candidate on your ballot. This person is vying to represent you, your family, and your community. Do you know what they are and what they stand for? Vote411.org is your tool for accurate and unbiased, up-to-the-minute election information on the candidates running in local races. Just enter your address to get started. Your vote is your power, the power to decide who represents you in 2022 and beyond. Get online, get the facts, and make your voice heard on Election Day.
Moving forward.
Aloha, Shawn. How's it?
Hey, how's it, Kawika? Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks for coming on, bro. So many of you guys. I'm glad a lot of you are actually answering the emails and the calls, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. You were one of the first to reach out on this, and I think right now people are just so oversaturated with information, and it's hard to kind of break through in some of the more traditional means. And I think podcasts and kind of that long form listening is really resonating with people. So glad you're doing this.
Oh, all right, bro. So we only got so much time, and I want to pack in as much info as I can with you today. So let's
Wonderful.
get right to the top and let everybody know who you are and what office you're running for.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Shawn Richey. I am running for House of Representatives for District 49, which is Kaneohe and Maunawili.
Right on, right on. And what I'm asking all candidates, so that way we can get a little education for our listeners, because some listeners may know what's going on, but other listeners may not even know what certain offices do. So could you tell us the duties of your office you're running for?
Absolutely. So legislator, lawmaker, discussing and representing the people's voice in the people's house to come to resolutions and bills that will dictate how we live our lives. So it's a general lawmaker. It's one half of the legislative process. It goes through the House, then it goes through the Senate. So really it's a representative of your area in having discussions with the rest of the state on the different laws and resolutions on the books that give power to the government and other funding mechanisms.
Right on, right on. All right, so let's get to it. What's the history of you, brah? Tell us about yourself before we get to your campaign.
Oh, yeah. It's a long journey, so I'll be as brief as I can. I was born and raised here in Aiea. I'm a public school boy. I always say, other than having a mother and a father, growing up in Oahu was the greatest privilege of my life. And when I had to leave after high school, just to kind of find some footing, and I didn't grow up with much. So as I went out and ended up joining the military to pay for college, So I served overseas for our country. I came back and graduated from Portland State up in Oregon. And, decided when me and my wife were ready to come back and have kids that we wanted to take a leap of faith and try and cut our teeth back in Hawaii, because this is our home and, this is where we want to be, but it's a extremely tough place. So came back just kind of on faith and started our family. And I just kind of, I've always, through the military service and just in general, have a servant's heart. So one of my first jobs back was actually working in the legislature for a session, and then using that to get my foot in the door with the state procurement office, which is the contracts and acquisitions for goods, services, and construction for state agencies. So I kind of found this support role, this service role in contracts. My background and my passion is small business. So I actually got hired there to help them with a small business preference program for Hawaii businesses when the government is looking to contract for goods and services. I had the honor to work with great teams, and we actually did help to draft legislation and pass legislation for that effort. And I was hoping to ascend with that, and I wrote in that bill a position for myself. And of course, when it got to the governor's desk, he had to cut some money, and they decided to cut that position and wanted me to run that program for the little pay that I was doing on top of everything else I was doing. And so I said, okay, let me take a step back and try and find a different spot. Got an opportunity at the University of Hawaii, where I ran their credit card program, and then I became their purchasing manager for all of the goods and services contracts over 25,000 for all of the various islands. So always had this calling to serve people and in there be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. And then just kind of over the last couple of years, especially coming out of the pandemic and just kind of seeing various aspects that were concerning to me, I had this kind of calling of, I know you like to be behind the scenes, you like to be supportive, but I really, feel compelled and called to kind of take that next step and to become a representative and serve the people. And starting out, of course, in my community, in my neighborhood, but to serve people in the House of Representatives and putting people first and adopting a mindset of we can do better. So that's kind of my background, kind of led me here. And again, just another leap of faith to jump into the kind of thankless arena of politics and really come with that servant's heart and desire to be a representative of people.
Right on. So, with that being said, all that's in your head and all that what you've done, what would you like to do with this office?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, it is looking to create those mechanisms to connect with the government. Again, I've worked in the government a long time. I've kind of been on both sides of the coin. It's extremely hard to connect with the government and then to have your voice be heard. So me and my family are really, I don't do things lightly. I don't just jump into things. I have to really make sure that I'm ready to commit, because I'm very much a person of my word. I am who I say I am. And we came together to say we're going to invest in our communities for the next however many years in office, and we're really going to look to put down those roots and make sure that we have these mechanisms and these pillars in our community where people know where to go to have their voice be heard, so that I can represent those voices in the people's house. So as far as what we can do and I can do, it's really that investing in our communities, building those lines of communication, not just for myself, but for whoever's going to be afterwards to represent people. And then, of course, in office, you're there to represent your community, and I want to do that as best I can. And again, when I'm looking at legislation, it's going to be through that lens of, does this benefit people first, right? Like, does this benefit, these corporations first, and then it'll trickle down, or government first, and then through that it'll go down to people. I really feel the calling at this point to put people first in the way that the lens in which we look at these bills and resolutions and how our money is being spent.
Right on. So, in your current experience, anything in particular that you're aware of what the people want or need have been asking about that you're looking to accomplish in the term, if given the opportunity?
Again, I'm gonna. How do you do it? Like in business and business management, they'll say, you can put a lot of effort into changing people's behaviors, and it'll be a limited gain. Or you can invest in changing people's mindsets, and then that will kind of like teaching them to fish, right? And it can be better. So really, in the short term that I'm there, I just want to start to shift these conversations again, have a safe place for these conversations, to shift from what I believe a lot of local people's mindset is of could be worse, don't grumble, don't make waves, to how can we shift that to we can do better, right? And have this mindset change of wanting to improve upon these systems, and then again look at it from a people first standpoint. I'll give a quick example, right? And just off the top of my head, I was just reading some article about some pilot program where they spent $7,000 to catch 67 chickens.
I was reading that yesterday, bro. I was lying in bed, and they're like $100 a chicken, bro. And I was like, why don't you just let the homeless turn them in and we give them a free rotisserie chicken? $10 is a lot easier.
There we go, chicken bounty, right?
Yeah.
I'll go down the road to the boys down the road. I'll say, hey, there's some chickens over here. They'll go collect them, go get their $10, right? You're putting people first. You're giving something to do to help the community, and there's an incentive behind it. And, allow people to do it instead of, again, going through kind of more of an arduous vendor process who's going to mark up their stuff for their time. And, that's how we got into over $100 a chicken.
Yeah, we got one $20 net, and we got one $15 an hour guy scratching his butt on the side of the road waiting for the phone call, and the guy who processes the paperwork in HR for that guy. And, yeah.
I see the boys coming up our road all the time, and they're riding their bikes carrying their chickens, and it's just like those guys would come and they would help out, give them something to do, to feel like they're helping. Because unfortunately, where we are right now, I feel like people, especially in the current stand, right? Everyone's ready for summer. Everyone's ready for kind of the first summer post-COVID. They don't want to think about politics. They don't want to challenge their safe places and really look at issues. So when I do go and I talk to people, a lot of times it is, like, oh, gotta fix the roads, oh, gotta fix the chickens, oh, gotta, what I mean? These kind of things that aren't really at a lawmakers level per se, but that's where their concerns are. And that's why, again, what I can do is be in my community for the entire service. I don't want to be that politician that knocks on your door, gets your vote, convinces you, and then you don't see me again until next election season. I want to put down roots in this and really invest in this idea and this platform that I have to be in the community, listening to those people, and have that be my job. And then just as a part of it for 5 months, 4 months out of the year, I got to go to the people's house and bring everything that I learned throughout the year over there.
Right on. So, do you feel there's anything big about your campaign you'd like to touch on with your extra time?
Big about my campaign? Oh, I mean, super grassroots. Again, I feel like people are hungry for the message of putting people first, and again, wanting to do better. And it's just finding those little things to connect and break through with. Like, I don't want to be your celebrity, and I feel like a lot of times politicians have been lifted to this celebrity status. And when you care more about your status than your impact, You're not going to go and address issues that matter to people, issues that might be controversial, issues that might be hard to handle. And I think that my progression, both professionally, personally, in all areas of my life, have made me a good vehicle to go and have those conversations. And again, use my discernment and, all of the practical experience I have to take from those to go and move forward and do better. But it's just, how can you break through and build trust with people in such a time of distrust? And the way that I say it is, I'm a faith believer as well. And the faith I participate in, it says it's about the relationship and not the religion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of it the same way in politics, right? We don't have a relationship with our government, with our politicians. We have a ritual that we do every 4 years or 2 years where we go into the box, right? And we usually vote by the letter at the end of the name,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or do I know this name, or does this name sound good to me? It's just a ritual.
Yeah.
And I want to spend this time. I want to try and do, again, if it's not for me, it's for whoever else, just kind of wake people up to, we need to start wanting to have a relationship with these things, because it does affect us. As much as we want to build up these walls and focus on the parts and the beautiful areas that it doesn't, politics and the way that it's expanded, especially over the last decade, it does affect us. And we need to not only make sure we have a relationship with politics and these things, but a healthy relationship. And that's, if I win, that's cool. But it's really about bringing the message, having these conversations, planting those seeds, because, again, I think it's needed and I think it matters.
Right on. Yeah, I believe that we've kind of hit a disconnect and an apathy point in the voter public. We have kind of we've slogged through a lot these past few years, and I think the world just kind of went at that point of like, you mean I got an adult again, bro? I don't like, and so some people just kind of push that aside.
And really, really quickly, like the reason why my campaign is people first is when the pandemic hit, I was so proud of our people, this state, everything, right? Because we transitioned into that pandemic putting people first.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the people in my office were so scared. They had all of these things. And so I was one of the pioneers. I wrote an awesome telework program, and I pushed that through to get my people to work from home, because that was putting people first and addressing their concerns. And it warmed my heart, right? It's why I love this place. It's why, I came back to have my kids here. But then as the pandemic progressed, it's like, as we were trying to shift out of it these multiple times, I didn't feel that same people first mentality. And I felt like, why are they putting these things first? Why are they putting this first? And, this money first, or this issue first? And why are they not having public town halls for people? Why is there still, sunshine laws being, under the emergency proclamation? Why can't we put people first in transitioning out of this, since we did such a good job transitioning into it? Mm-hmm. And that was really what kind of bore the idea in me to step up and again run on that idea, because I was so inspired. Because let's face it, Hawaii is resistant to change. Hawaii, people fight off change real hard here. And we were all forced to step up and change because of the pandemic. And that was a beautiful thing to see, especially, again, because we put people first. So can we harness that energy? Can we harness that, that what made that so special, and again, use it and apply it to our everyday lives to make things better and allow for healing and growing, kind of, as we're transitioning into maybe the endemic phase or whatever we are now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would definitely like to touch on this more in the future with you if you got time. Like, I'd really like to be able to talk more about the effects of people and what they can do, and how to restore, what's lost from that current disconnect, if you'd love to come on again.
I'd love to come on again and again, just highlight to people, like, start to look for those things, right? The number one thing, at least on Oahu, is the rail, right? The rail was not people first.
Oh, yeah. I gotta
You
say,
know?
it's gotta be one of the most confusing things to me because I love mass transit and what it can do, but I feel in the history of America in general, it's been represented incorrectly by the people endorsing it. And in a lot of cases, they become just money funnels to nowhere. It's like I tell everybody if they want to understand what Oahu's going through with the rail, just watch that episode of The Simpsons because that's what it's felt like the whole time. Like everybody just starts singing monorail and we don't know what's going on, and then people are like, yay monorail, no monorail, bad monorail, yes monorail. So,
and I was in the Northwest. Portland had a great light rail system. Even if you go up to Seattle, you'll see there was.
I took that SeaTac light rail from the airport out,
the whatever shopping center, and then it stopped because they were way over budget and they were way over planning. But because it started in an important place and it moved to somewhere, it still serves a function, right? If we stop the rail now, what does it really serve?
No.
And that's why it's such a mess. But again, it's just, I try to highlight to people, right? That's an example of not putting people first. So how can we start to shift the way that government is being done? These legislation decisions are being made to put people first.
Right on. We definitely need to talk about that monorail next time you're on, bro. That's enough for like 3 extra episodes and a trip to the doctor.
Well, thanks, man. Please, it's voteshawnrichey.com. It's Vote Shawn Richey on social medias. You can check out the platform. And again, it's kind of broken up into 2 sections. So I have We Can, which is the investing in our communities and my people first principles, and then Do Better, which are, I take the Democrat Party platform and I give how I would go through some of those things, putting people first to do better in our legislature as we're running and going forward. And I just invite people to take a look, see kind of what the idea that I'm planting is, and then of course, if anybody wants to help out or be a part of it, this is a true grassroots campaign. I always try to do things much bigger than myself, but there are, it's a very true saying, you might be able to do everything, but you can't do everything at the same time. And I'm just so thankful to everyone who's helped out. I'm thankful to you for giving this opportunity to speak, and I would love to come on again in the future.
Right on. Mahalo, bro, for coming on today. Again, everyone, we'll go ahead and put those all those places where you can connect with him in the show notes so you can check that out afterwards. Shawn, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your voice. Independent media is one of the nearest and dearest places to my heart. Anyone willing to share their voice and put it out there, I'll support and uplift to the best of my ability. So thank you.
Appreciate it, bro. You have a wonderful day.
Mahalo.
Aloha. Rabbit Holes is a Manavakau production. This episode was produced by Kawika Hoke and Sarah Rodriguez. Make sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast platforms to add our weekly episodes to your queue.